and welcome back to Human for another campfire session. This campfire session is called Care for the Soul, which is dedicated to the most important part of being human. I did want to take the time out to apologize because I'm in the process of moving and I wasn't able to promote it. Okay, there we go. Hey, Barbara. How you doing?
Hi, good. I'm going to be promoting it myself right now. So you just keep on just doing your thing.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for taking the time out, like I said to everyone earlier, for choosing to come on board, putting time aside, for this is very important to me and for the people that'll be watching this in the future, right? Different perspectives from around the world on a subject matter that I think is extremely important, that I think is also overlooked, our soul. So without further ado, this is the introductory piece before we get to the questions. I wanted you to introduce yourself to the audience. Um, Please let us know where you're calling in from, your life's mission, business, or profession. And if you have all three, you can do that too.
Hi, Troy. Hi, everyone. I can visualize us all sitting around the campfire, and I just walked in from Seattle, Washington, and looking around and seeing where everybody else is from and this human connection we all have. So yes, my name is Barbara Badalati, and it's so interesting because a lot of times we do identify ourselves or introduce ourselves with our profession. So
Mm-hmm.
when you ask, what is the mission? I
Mm-hmm.
would say for me, my mission, and this has been true my whole life, is to express, which is this whole topic, is to do my best to express a higher version, expression, qualities that my soul would ask me to express and be. So that's kind of my mission, is to demonstrate that for myself and for others as much as possible. And it has shown up in many ways throughout my personal and professional life. And I'm still working on it in a way. So, yes. So I'm here.
Mm. Thank you for being here. By the way, we are all works in progress, right? I think that I could attest to that for sure. So I wanted to move forward and ask you, when you hear the phrase care for the soul, what does that mean to you?
Well, I believe that we are our soul in this human body, and in this particular time that we're living, whenever our ancestors or we are born. So I feel like the soul is me, uh, more so than it is almost like a merging, right? It's like it's all one. It all is the soul. So caring for the soul is caring for myself as a human being and connecting with my soul, because I do feel that gives me the most guidance in
Mm,
being a human being.
mm.
So
For those of
caring,
you who missed, go ahead.
yeah,
Continue, Bob. I didn't want to cut you off.
no,
Continue.
you're fine.
But do you have any more that you would like to say?
No, I think that was the question, right? What does care for the soul mean
To you, yes, indeed.
to me? Good
hmm
question
And
for
then,
everybody.
yes, it's part of the introductory piece, actually. Um, I wanted to also shout you out and say that your interview was amazing for those who are watching this right now. I did interview Barbara one-on-one prior to this session, so please, if you have the chance, check that out. That was a
Thank
great interview.
you.
You're welcome, no problem. And last but not least, what inspired you to be a part of Campfire Sessions?
Oh, I love this question. So I think we all sat around, and not just, like our ancestors, language was the way that and maybe it was just grunts and sign language and pointing and, and sometimes we still do that when we don't know a particular language. But that is a form of communication. And to be able to be together with lots of different types of people is very unusual nowadays. We kind of hang out with the same 5 people. We get our perspectives and our beliefs from the same group of people. And so you've really provided this opportunity, this platform for many of us to come together and to share ideas and thoughts and expand our minds and be able to also contribute to our thoughts. Of course, I really appreciate you. You are the nucleus. Yeah. And then also, I feel that with everything that's going on with AI and social media and so on, this human component is vital. So those are some of the reasons that I love this campfire that you've created. And I've really enjoyed listening too, like going back and watching and listening to the different campfires. Fascinating. I've learned so much and got so many ahas because I was listening to people that I never associate. Like I don't hang out with a rapper. So I now I want to, because I'm like, oh wow, it's pretty profound what Kevin said and things like that. So yeah, I really love this opportunity you've given all of us.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. It takes a lot and it means a lot. It keeps me going, to be honest with you. Like I tell people, it's a symbiotic relationship, right? Like, even though I'm the nucleus, without you, the platform cannot exist, right? You're the people who decide to come on and dedicate your time to this platform by willing to share your perspective with people around the globe.
Can I share one more thing? That's how also we connect our souls, by listening to one another, by sharing, by being here, because we all have that common, no matter what else our human aspect is or qualities, we all each have a soul, I believe. So that's our common thread. So it's another good reason that it's important for us to be here. So thank you.
You're very welcome. I'm going to go ahead and bring on the next person to do the introductory piece. I think that, let me see something. I'm still trying to figure this part out.
I know you can put a lot of people. So do I leave? I just stay here, right?
No, I will
you're going to get rid of
you,
me.
and then I'll go ahead and bring someone else on this one at a time instead of like the group, because there's a lot of people. So I want to give everybody their, individual time.
All right,
I'll see you in a little while, though.
I'll see you in a little while.
See you in a little while, Barbara. Hello, everyone. We are going to continue. I am currently actually looking for someone, but if we can't find them, that is fine. I will go ahead and see if they're here. Moving forward, though, next up we do have Nigel. Hey, what's up, Nigel? How you doing?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. It's nice to meet you for the first time,
Man.
right? This
Face to
is
face,
the beautiful part.
Yeah.
Huh?
I'm saying face to face somewhat, all right?
Yeah, face to face somewhat. And thank you for responding back. It was like, yeah, the story between our communication was cool because I had emailed you. You was like, yes, I'm down. And it kind of came out of nowhere. And I was like, damn, that's real swift and quick. I didn't have to like double back and email you again. It was amazing.
No worries, man.
Please introduce to yourself to the audience that we have here tonight for those who do not know you, Nigel.
Yeah, cool. So my name is Nigel. I am calling in from Edmonton, Alberta. I am originally from Toronto, Ontario, born and raised there, and then relocated to Edmonton. I think it's gonna be like 2 years now. So I wear many different hats. I am a husband, I'm a father. I serve in the capacity of a pastor at my local church, and I'm also a mental health therapist as well. So that is a little bit about me and a couple of hats that I wear. Yeah.
What would you say your life purpose is, out of curiosity?
Yeah, I think I've always known that answer since I was probably like elementary, high school or so. Journeying with people, always supporting people, getting people from point A to point B. I think that's why I became a therapist. That kind of gave me that nutshell in a cell that, in a sense, that this is what I'm called to do, to support people in various life transitions or whatever they may be experiencing within their life. I really had that call or tug on me to serve in that capacity, to support people in that capacity. So yeah, yeah.
Amazing. And when you hear the phrase care for the soul, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, care for the soul. I think in answering that question, it's important to highlight the fact that we can't care for the soul unless we're also caring for the mind and the body. I think they all work together. They're all connected. They all benefit each other. So I think that's where we get the phrase, the mind, body, and soul. There's a reason why the soul essentially is last. What happens in and to the mind impacts the body. What happens into the body impacts the soul. So they all intertwine. They all interconnect. So it's important to highlight, when caring for your soul, you got to care for your mind, you got to care for your body, because at the core of yourself is your soul. It's your personality, it's your character, it's who you are, and there's so many different ways that can be impacted. So I think caring for the soul isn't just a one-off action. It's a holistic effort conjuncting your entire being essentially. So yeah.
Wow, very insightful. I really like that answer.
Yeah, no worries.
Very insightful. And last but not least, what made you want to come on Campfire Sessions outside of myself?
Yeah. So ironically enough, I didn't know anything about Campfire, but I had seen your logo a lot. I had seen it on social media everywhere. So I always kind of knew about the logo, but just didn't know about the Campfire sessions. So coming on and being a part and reading up on what you guys do, I think it's very important to have different perspectives on a particular topic. And I think it's great in that sense, because a closed mind can be detrimental to someone's growth. So having that opportunity to talk about a topic and hear it from different perspectives gives you the opportunity to filter through what you need to filter through and receive what you need to receive, essentially. So yeah.
Indeed. Another thing that I want to add on to that is it helps
Mhm.
everybody get noticed, right? Like
Right.
what
Yeah.
I'm also striving for is that at the end of this session, that the people who are part of this session connect with one another,
Right.
reach out to one another and like check in on one another, see how y'all could build that relationship outside of myself,
Right. Right.
Like she said before, I know I'm the nucleus, but
Mhm.
I do want to bring a community together too.
Right.
It's
Right.
not solely focused on me. So
Absolutely, man. You're doing good
I
work.
just wanted to say thank you. I really do appreciate that, Nigel.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and remove you for right now. We're gonna bring
Okay.
up the next person to do another introduction, and I'll be back
Yeah.
to
No problem.
have you answer the questions
Yeah.
100%.
All right, man. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon, Nigel. All right, Tamika, you're up next. Hey,
Hey,
Tamika, how you doing?
hey, I'm good. I am great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Awesome.
Nice to see you in person. I know
Same
we talk over the
here.
phone.
Well, kind of
It's
short in
over
person.
Yeah, kind of, sort of. Yeah, the social media thing, right? That's what
Hmm.
we're doing nowadays. But first and foremost, wanted to ask you the same question I've been asking everyone else, is to please introduce yourself to the audience that we have here today. Please tell us where you are calling in from, and then on top of that, maybe your life's mission, purpose, your business or professional, all three if you want.
All right, all right. Thank you. My name is Tamika McLean, and I am a speaker, author, and nonprofit founder. For me, my mission has been to help young women and then men, whomever I speak to, help them along their journey of healing past trauma from their childhood. It seems like me assisting individuals on their healing process started a long time ago. And I extended that work through the nonprofit that I founded. And, that mission is to assist young women with their transitional process of aging out of foster care. So I spend a lot of my time, working on the organization, building that out. And, yeah, so I would say my purpose is to help those along their journey of healing what they need to heal. Not to say that I'm, the guru or anything like that, because I'm still going through my process of living and learning as well. So, I would say my mission is to assist those in their process of healing.
Mm, love the journey. And I can't, oh, by the way, just so everybody knows, in the future, I will be interviewing Tamika one-on-one in the near future. Just wanted to shout that out. So please be on the lookout for that. Moving forward, when you hear the phrase care for the soul,
Mhm.
what does that mean to you?
Care for the soul to me means being in tune with oneself, right? Making sure that there's balance in every aspect of your life, so to speak, whether that's mentally, physically, emotionally, etc. And to ever so often do a self wellness check, do a hey, are you okay type thing, like check on you, make sure that you're okay.
Mm,
Because sometimes, you get uh, bogged down the day to day, bogged down with the day to day
mhm,
responsibilities. And sometimes you do have to pause and make sure that you're okay. You know, so.
100%.
Mhm.
100%. Oh, someone says hello in the comments, by the way.
Hello.
And last but not least, what inspired you to be a part of Campfire Sessions this month?
I love the community that you have built. You have built a community of people that come from all walks of life, have, had different challenges. They all have different stories, and it's great to learn how other people, conduct themselves, on a day to day. It's also great to see what other people are doing in the world. It's
Mm.
great see how we have the ability to come together and connect as individuals. And yeah, that's my answer.
Well, thank you, Tamika.
You're welcome.
I wanted to say that I look forward to hearing your answers to the questions that we have coming up today. Yeah,
There's
that
a
dance is
few.
funny.
There's a few.
Yeah, there is a few, and then I like that little dance that you do. It's like I've seen it in the other videos,
Yeah.
like when you start to go side to side. Yeah, yeah, I have. I seen it in one other video. Yeah, he was about to announce something, and I seen it. It was cool.
Oh, okay.
But what you call it? I will let me bring on the next person, and I will be returning back to you as soon as we go around the table again. All right.
I'll see you in a few minutes.
See you in a few minutes.
Bye. Later.
Bye bye. And now. Hey,
Hello.
how you doing? It's nice to meet you too. This is our first time meeting each other also. How are you doing, Mary?
I'm good. It's sunny today, and because it's winter over here, I'm in New Zealand. But we've finally had some sun, so I'm feeling good.
Thank you for joining us all the way from New Zealand. I appreciate that. What time is it over there?
It's 10:30 a.m. Well, nearly 11 a.m. So on a
Wow,
Monday. I'm in the
on a
future.
Monday. You are in the future because I'm I'm literally still in Sunday. Amazing. No, thank thank you for choosing to come on. I appreciate that 100%. It takes a lot of dedication to have, someone like yourself come on too, especially from overseas. But what I wanted you to please do is introduce yourself to the audience. Let us know where you're calling in from. Well, you already told us where you're calling in from, but what is your life's mission, business, or profession, or all three if you want to?
My life's purpose is to connect people back to their breath. I'm a breathwork facilitator and I'm trauma informed and also a neurosomatic breath therapist. So I work with the body as a whole as well as sound healing and vibrations and everything like that. So my purpose is to help people slow down and connect back home to their center, to their breath, basically.
Amazing. I don't want to lose myself too much in the intro, but separate question.
Yeah.
How do you think people could recenter themselves, even let's say without breath work, just out of curiosity?
Well, the thing with the breath for me is it's always there. So it's a reminder. And we all breathe, and that's what connects us. If you couldn't see our bodies, if you couldn't see our skin color, if you couldn't see what gender we were, we're all connected through the breath. It's all coming in and going out and regenerating our cells and our body. So that question to me is hard to answer because it's such a huge part of my life now. Just finding my safety in my breath, basically, and my birthright.
Okay. Yeah. It's just a question that was inside of me that was like itching a little bit. I was like, let me ask it while it's on the tip of my tongue. But
a lot of people think about their breath, and it's just my life. It's me now.
The funny thing is when I hear you say it's your life, I also reflect on myself like in an interesting way. It is mine too. It's just something that I don't think that because it's such a like it's not necessarily automatic, but it's something that happens without you necessarily paying attention to it, right? Like I feel like we going out day to day not really paying attention to how we breathe or
it's a big one.
The importance of breathing, right? Yeah, it is a big one.
So, you take your first breath when you're born. You take your last when you die, and in between, it's like, what did you do? Did you feel that? Did you feel the breath? I know.
Moving forward, I wanted to ask you, when you hear the phrase care for the soul, what does that mean to you?
To me, it means to rest and be in the moment, because that's why we're here. Like, we're here on this earth to experience touch, taste, sound, and rest and comfort. So I find my comfort in the soul, and that's where I feed my soul, is that calm or excited moment where I just am, and I don't need to be anything else. I just am that.
And last but not least, what inspired you to be a part of Campfire sessions outside of myself?
I love that you're from another country. I love that you have other perspectives, and it expands my mind. Even just today, just listening to the other three, sorry, it just expands your perspective on life and see other people have different lives, but we're also similar. It's kind of cool. I like what you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's a big responsibility, let's put it that way. For sure.
You know how hard it is to bring people together too.
Yeah, believe it or not, we talk to a lot of people, me and my assistant, for Campfire sessions, and then we also have to schedule the interviews too. So it's Communication is at least probably for us, it's probably 60 to 70% of our work to reach out to so many people, for each session. And to continue to have it be global, the global community, right? Not starting to get trapped in just, oh, I'm just in America, so let me just deal with the American people. Let me also reach outside of the American space to bring in people who are in a different country that can give you a whole different perspective on that country. One person I did interview who had a friend that was from New Zealand, she was in Australia, in the Golden Coast of Australia. Her name was Amy Creighton. It was an amazing interview. I learned a ton about Australia during that interview. Like, it was really good.
Yes, cool.
What I'm going to go ahead and do is remove you, and then we're going to start the cycle again. I'm going to give a little bit of time just so, because there's one or two people that are like supposed to be here, but I don't see them in the audience. So I want to reach out to them and see if I could
Yeah.
contact them. And then if not, we'll just start with the questions. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. See you later. Oh, also, by the way, for those who are watching, Mary will be doing a presentation for us regarding breath work towards the end of our questionnaire. All right. So I just wanted everybody to know that while you were here on the screen.
Cool.
Well, Mary, I'll see you soon. All right. Let us see. I'm gonna go ahead and continue moving forward. We're gonna start the cycle all over again with Barbara, and this time we'll be asking the questions for human campfire sessions. Barbara.
Wow. I just love this. You know what I also love is when there's the quiet silence. Well, first of all, your laughter. I mean, everybody you chuckle with that comes on. But also, I love the silence between when there's a share and then there's this quiet. It gives us all an opportunity to just try it on and feel it and absorb it. So thank you for the silence too.
You're welcome. Now that you talk about the silence, I want to say something. I think we live in a society where it's like we always got to fill that gap, right? That talking gap. Like, it's quiet right now. Let me say something because it feels awkward or uncomfortable, right? But there is a beauty in silence, and that's what you just spoke about, right? Um, Tamika says that she loves your energy, and I know you said the same thing about her, so that's cool. I hope that y'all two connect after this, for sure. Um, but yes, thank you for acknowledging that. I appreciate that, especially the way that you have provided that perspective before I get into the questions. Um, I feel like, yes, the person just said it's quiet. We feel the need to like fill it in. But you gave it a different perspective on silence, which gives you the moment to digest what has just taken place and be like you said, let me fit it on and let me see how this fits and listen to this person and really let it marinate. And then we can speak again, right? I think that's a good art when it comes to conversating. It's listening with intention. But let me not steal the show here.
I know, because you and I could rampage on this we could just, because I'm also, the other thing that's happening is, because I didn't watch, I was just listening to Nigel and Mary and Tamika, and you can hear so much more when you truly are listening, which I think is also caring for the soul, because the soul is also speaking to us, whether it's a feeling or intuition. I know it's one of your questions. Okay, I'm sorry,
Yes, no
Troy.
problem. Oh, yeah, no, it's no problem.
You know me.
Yes, that would be the perfect answer for one of the questions. So without further ado, let me jump into it. Now, so how do you communicate and listen to yourself?
Well, I love nature's a big centering, grounding, even if it's just the littlest thing, like looking at a rose petal, right? There is so much awe in nature, and we are nature. So that is the one way that is my go-to, quick, immediate. Again, even if it's just looking at a little dandelion pushing up through the concrete, saying, not going to cover up me, like I'm alive. So that helps a lot. And then I have a regular meditation
Mhm.
practice. It took me years to cultivate it. And I don't listen to anything while I'm driving. So that's always another time. Even when I take a walk, I don't necessarily listen to music. It gives me an opportunity to just listen and ask questions and pray and meditate. And even if it's an open eye meditation, just on a walk, I want to connect more with my soul. So it's a
Mm,
priority, however I can weave it into my day.
amazing.
Took
I like the
me,
fact that you said walking around with no music. I'll continue.
right, because we were just talking about that. There's so much noise. There's podcasts and music and talking to people on your phone even. There's just constant stimulation, which is what I love too about Mary talking about the breath. You can listen even to your own breathing. I mean, that's another layer of our breath. Um, so yeah, and I just really focus on gratitude and the bliss, like there's just so much amazement that we get to experience in our human form that is a gift from our spirit, soul, whatever that connection is.
Mm, yes, there is. Do you think there's a difference between listening to your soul versus listening to your intuition? And what
Yeah,
does that look like?
we had that you asked me this question in the interview a couple days ago. And so I've had some more time to think about it. And I do believe that we have all of these senses, and our intuition, we've heard that sixth sense.
Mhm.
It's another gift we were given in our human experience of a little soul message, if you will. I do believe that they're one and the same or intertwined enough. Um, and we all have different ways of listening. The intuition is a quality that can be cultivated, fostered, strengthened
Mm,
as a communication tool for guidance from our soul or our spirit or God or whatever people want to label that. So yeah, I do think they're one and the same, or at least a component of communication that we can tune into.
mm,
Sometimes I feel more too in my heart. Sometimes I feel that's also another aspect of who we are in our humanness versus AI or social media necessarily, is this heart connection we all have.
mm. Funny thing is, if we connect that with our breath, we have quite the human scenario there.
Yeah, it's a big topic, Troy. It's a big care for the soul. You picked a big one.
Yeah, I did pick a big topic. You are not lying about that, for sure. There are plenty more coming. Oh, by the way, in the future, there will be a topic about AI. I think that that's becoming a very important conversation to have. So we would definitely have that. But the next question is, do you acknowledge your soul's duality? Why or why not?
Do you mean, tell me more about duality?
Well, I believe that. you have a negative and a positive side, and people tend to want, and I get it, want to focus on the positive side, 100%. But that, you still can't forget your shadow, right? It's like I walk outside, I have myself, but there's definitely my shadow that follows me everywhere I go. So I think it's just acknowledging both sides and understanding that they do both exist. And like we spoke about in the interview, not trying to practice the suppression of one just because it may be ugly, but kind of nurturing it and treating and, acknowledging it and kind of facing it head on in an interesting way, right? Um,
Yeah, and that's where we were talking about compassion,
mhm.
which I think is also part of our soul quality is the higher frequency, the higher vibration of love and compassion and joy. Because to me, the soul is not judging. And so when there is that shadow side or those negative qualities that come out in our human character, it is our soul that can help us to remember who we truly are, right?
Mm,
We're this spiritual being having this human experience, and that the soul is designed, kind of, this is just my perspective, the soul is seeking expression of the higher qualities of like compassion and understanding, patience, love, joy, bliss, right? All of those higher vibrations of our spirit. And yet I think our human self is what
mm,
has those shadow sides from all different, right? Traumas and environment. And maybe it's just even being exposed to certain things, like the news, even, sometimes can bring up that shadow side of anger and those kinds of things, which again is another aspect of guiding us. To me,
mm.
if something doesn't feel well, it either needs to be healed or it needs to be reviewed and assessed, and taking responsibility. It could even just be, again, maybe I need to listen to my intuition or my soul. Like, what am I meant to be listening and being guided to move forward with? So yeah, that shadow side either needs to be healed or reviewed, or again, so we can grow and become all that we're meant to be. Capital B, capital E.
Capital B, not the capital C, no capitalism. Sorry, yeah, listen. But listen, moving forward, I now have like a special question for you, and I'm going to launch it early because it follows up with what you just said. Because everybody has their own special design question I gather from what you talk about. And so, do you think the shadow side of us is comes from our human component and experience? This is interesting
I
because I know some
do.
people that
I
are
know.
I feel like there's some people that unfortunately are like innately. I ran across a lot of people in my day, and some people unfortunately just I'm like I'm not saying they were born that way necessarily, but some people just from day one have
I
been
don't think
pretty
it's the
pretty
soul.
edgy.
I don't think it's the soul. I mean, if you look at a little baby, that baby cries when it expresses itself, right? It cries, it giggles, it laughs, it complains, you know what I mean? Like, if it's hungry, it lets you know, has different cries for different expressions, for different needs that it wants. It doesn't look at its body and says, "Oh, I'm so chubby." It doesn't do, we didn't do any of that. We just totally knew that the world revolved around us. We wanted to make sure our needs got met, which is usually what is going on with most people. Everybody's just wanting to be loved or make sure that their needs are being met. And so I really do feel like the soul is all of that, pure love and acceptance, and then layers and layers and layers of things happen, like nail polish just like gets covered up, covered up, covered up. And maybe that shadow of the soul, or the shadow, whatever, in psychology terms, maybe Nigel can help us with that, and even Tamika. So that's where the unrooting, whether it's breath work or whatever the practices are, to return to our authentic, true nature, which is love and motion, energy and motion, love, and we're all doing the best we can. We're not going to get this 100% all the time.
We are not.
We are not.
That's what makes us human.
This is a good start. Yeah, this is what makes us human. Exactly. And look at that. Laughter's another way too, right? Laughter's another way. I mean, we do stupid things, but sometimes we just can have a sense of humor. And again, I always go back to that compassion. Like, wow, if I was this little child, what would I do with her, him, or they? You know, how would I be with that human? With that shadow side that drives you nuts, right?
What do you think your sole purpose is in life, Barbara?
Oh, I said this in the beginning. I really didn't talk about my profession.
Yeah.
Yeah, is do my best to be a living example of being my best. I feel like who I really am is what I offer the world. So my only job really is to continue to be my best self. And I don't mean to say that flippantly, right? I mean to just say, this is an inside job, only I'm responsible for it. And the better I can be at being compassionate with myself, or whatever my best is that day. Some days are better than others. And be a living expression and authentically, that's really my only purpose. For me, that's what always has been my North Star, my guiding post. Yeah, so that's one of the reasons I don't listen to anything while I'm driving. Or I meditate on a regular basis, or I like to smile and find the best in somebody, and maybe offer a word of encouragement, make sure I get enough sleep, try not to eat too much sugar, appreciate my body tempo. Ask when somebody says like they're going through something, I do my best to say, what can I do to help? And most people say, oh, well, thank you for just even asking that. So that's one of my go-to lines. It's like, what can I do to help? Some people say, well, could you say a prayer for me? Or I'll say, can I have permission to put you in my prayer circle tonight? Sometimes that's all people need to know, is that somebody listened and cared and is offering lending a hand. Sometimes that's all we need in our humanness, is just to know that. So those are some little examples of what I do in my beingness.
In my humanness.
In my humanness. my human being.
Or human beingness.
Right? I heard somewhere like, don't be a human doing, be a human being.
Yes. Yes. I had somebody actually say that during one of my interviews. It was interesting. But thank you, Barbara.
Thank
Do
you.
you have anything that you would like to add before we move on to the next person?
Just a big hug of gratitude. I hope I get to meet you in person someday on this book tour I'm going on with Sleep Blissful. And I'm going to continue to listen. And if you need me to come back on, I'll be hanging around, just packing things for the book tour.
You got it. And if you're coming through Texas, that's where I'm at. Please let me know, and I'll definitely put time aside to meet up with you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, everyone.
You're very welcome, Barbara. Thank you. That's amazing. Oh, yeah. That was amazing. Amazing. Next up, we have Nigel. How you doing, Nigel?
I'm good.
What's
I'm good.
going on? Yeah, she definitely brought you up in the last one, so
Yeah, I was
it's going to be
watching.
interesting. Um, so the first question goes as follows: how do you communicate and listen to your soul?
Yeah, I think through lived experiences, through that lens of mind, body, soul, I've done a great job in ignoring my mind at times. If I'm fatigued, if I'm tired, pushing through mentally to get something done. So now my body has kind of taken that over and said, okay, you don't want to listen to your mind at times. I'm going to tell you what to do. So there's times where, my body, I feel that real tiredness all throughout my body. And I start now to cater to my body, and then which followed through catering to my mind. So for me personally, with catering to my mind, I read a lot. I've become like an avid reader. I try to read a book a month, and I'm really loving social justice topics, so toxic masculinity, racism and white supremacy and those kind of things, those kind of topics. I have a keen interest in that. So anything social justice, I really love that. Doing a lot of reading, and even for my body, stretching, so that is something that I have incorporated into my day, having a healthy, rise routine, so that's, praying, devotion, stretching. I don't typically eat breakfast, but, that's how I, get my day going. And same thing at the nighttime, I'll read before going to bed. I'll stretch before going to bed. I'll have a conversation with my wife most times before going to bed, so having those healthy ways to feed all areas of my life, so my mind, my body, and my soul, so doing those things have fed my soul. It keeps me connected to my wife, it keeps me connected to myself, it keeps me connected to God. So there are different components that I've incorporated into my life to get me going. But when my body is, tired, that's the first thing. When I'm tired, my body's the first thing that will communicate to me. So now I try to funnel my decision makings, through the lens of, how is this going to impact, myself, how is this going to impact me and my wife, how is this going to impact my overall family, which also contributes to my body, so if I'm giving more of myself, is that going to impact my family negatively? Is that going to impact my marriage negatively? Is that going to impact me negatively? So for me, it's a lot of learning and unlearning, because we've grown up in a society that, making that, sacrifice, being sacrificial is, that's the hierarchy. You always got to do that. But I've seen people do that and die early, have heart attack, subject to different diseases. And I don't want that to be my portion,
Mm,
Yeah, yeah.
I love the way you highlighted that. We do live in a definitely sacrificial society, especially under the premise of the hustle culture.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah,
everything, you
yeah.
gotta stay on top of everything. We gotta, like, disregard this and disregard
Mhm.
that. Go straight for the capital and
Yeah,
try to
yeah.
get as much as you can before your time is over here. Right?
Hmm.
So I think that that's an interesting thing that you brought up there, and how that impacts people in their health, their mental health, their physical health, and last but not least, their spiritual health. Right.
Yeah.
So I really, really love the way you put that. Um, do you think there is a difference between listening to your soul versus listening to your intuition?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I
Mm,
think there is a difference. So using what I said earlier, the mind, body, soul, right? So the soul again is on that list, and it's the last thing on the list, but it's the most, I don't want to say most important, but it's impacted a lot in the sense that it's very fragile. It feels things more intensely. It's wounded easily. So a lot of the things that you experience, it's stored there in your soul, right? And because there's nothing after the soul, essentially, mind, body, soul, it sits there and then it travels back upwards, right? So it impacts your body, it impacts your mind. So your soul, essentially, it has a language. right? It has a language in which you are, in which it's communicating from, and it has a lens in which it sees yourself, sees others, and the world, essentially. So your world view comes from your soul to a certain extent, right? So I think the bigger question then is, what are the languages of your soul and intuition communicating to us in terms of how we care for our soul? I think that is probably the bigger question, because how we care for our mind, how we care for our body, how we care for our soul, that originated from somewhere, right? It originated from your lived experiences in conjunction with how you yourself have now learned to treat yourself, right? So I think they all work together. So let's take a bit deeper. So let's talk about intuition, right? So a part of the definition or meaning of intuition is without evident rational thought and inference. So essentially, you are coming to conclusions without any rational thought process, right? So in the mental health world, that would be, let's say, intrusive thoughts, right? So intrusive thoughts will be there, which are probably negative. So we classify them as negative intrusive thoughts. And what's the root of that? That's probably a traumatic experience of some sort that has caused a wound, that has caused pain, that has caused hurt for you, that is stored in your soul. Okay, so let's use an example. So an individual has experienced some sort of trauma that has breached their safety, right? The aspect of safety for them has been breached. They can do the work, go to therapy, do work, whatever that looks like for them. But if they are in an environment that is safe, but their soul which is storing all those wounds and those pains, if their soul is still not healed, or they haven't done that work, them being in an environment of safety won't feel safe to them, right? They're not going to feel safe in their mind. They're not going to feel safe in their body, because their soul is still communicating to them that they aren't safe, right? So let's bring in intuition. So again, remember, intuition is the conclusion of, without rational thought process. So your intuition is now communicating to you conclusions about people, conclusions about the environment that you're in, and saying that it's not safe, which is essentially keeping your amygdala, which is part of your brain, triggered, which impacts like your fight, flight, freeze responses. So what is your intuition and what is your soul communicating to you? And oftentimes what it is communicating to you is keeping you in a cycle of trauma, essentially, which is always going to be impacting in your mind, body, and soul. So I hope that makes sense.
Interesting. I actually have an answer for that. That's like the total opposite, but I'll wait until
Okay.
it's time for me to speak on that. I like the way that you approached it, based on the definition of the word, in terms of the dictionary definition of
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
100%.
Mhm.
Very interesting perspective. I never seen intuition explained that way. This is new for me, to be honest with you. Yeah, this is my first time actually. I was like, okay,
This
this
is
is
what chat's
interesting.
for, right? We're
Uh-huh.
learning, right? I'm learning
Yes,
from
we
you,
are.
you learning from me. Yeah.
100%. 100%. I wanted to move forward and ask,
Yeah.
do you acknowledge your soul's duality? Why or why not? As I said before, I think everybody has a shadow.
Yeah.
Different people see that differently. Barbara
Yeah.
explained it in a way that was human. Through our
Mhm.
experiences, we gain that shadow.
Yeah.
But I would like to hear from your
Yeah.
take.
And in the questions, I think that was the one that I pondered on a lot in trying to formulate that answer, because I agree with what Barb said and I agree with what you said. And I can sum it up in the sense that, the moment you are born, essentially, that duality concept is already present. So think about it. I have a child, I have a son, so I'll use him as an example. The moment he was born, he had the duality of being a son and a boy. Off the bat, those are the two dualities that he has. How to navigate being a son and how to navigate being a boy. then as he continues to grow, and I guess this is where I'll interject myself, as I've continued to grow, I've had lived experiences in elementary that has shaped me. I've had experiences in high school that has shaped me. University, doing my master's, all those different experiences that shaped me, getting married, being a part of different communities, playing sports. So there's different dualities, different aspects of myself that has either come to life or I've had to suppress in certain environments. So I think your duality is always going to be there, but it shows up in different ways. So I think even now, bringing it to present day, I think especially what we've seen in the last, we're in 2023, so like the last 2 to 3 years, especially since the whole George Floyd, how do people of color show up in their workspaces? How do I show up in society? How does that duality impact me? How does my culture impact me? How does that now impact to society and the community that I live in? So I think we're always, I don't want to say in a battle, but I think we're always wrestling with that aspect of duality and how can I be my authentic self in every space. And of course, that's the goal. That's what you want. You want to be your most authentic self in every space without any shame, guilt, fear, anything like that. But I think the reality is we're not. There are certain environments where we shut ourselves off. There are certain environments that we don't allow people in that environment to have access to us in certain aspects of our lives. So I think that duality is always present. How do we be our most authentic self? I think that is the biggest question probably to date right now. How can we do that unapologetically? And I think that's the battle, because we're, again, our duality from the moment we're born, we're combated with so many different hats, I would say, that we have to wear. And the amount of hats that we have to wear impacts our authenticity, right? How do we be authentic with the hats that we wear? Is that possible? Is it not possible? I don't know. I think we're all striving to be authentic in every space that we are in. So I think now that probably comes down to what are your core values? What are your core principles that you live by that dictates how authentic you are, dictates you as a person, that shows up across the board in everything that you do. So, yeah.
While I'm talking to you, when you say the core values that dictate how authentic we are, the one thing that popped up in my head was like, is it how authentic we are to ourselves, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what we're dealing with, is the duality within oneself, and how authentic are we being with ourselves? Because I could walk out in the world, and if I allow the world to dictate who I am,
Right.
then who am I, right?
Yeah.
It's a very good question.
Yeah.
Moving forward, right? So I understand what you're saying, but as a person, and I don't disagree, I'm just tagging on to what you said, just adding on to it. As a person that's been through a different set of experiences, I oftentimes have encountered that battle. Thank you, Barbara. I appreciate um I appreciate your input and your comment. Moving forward though, wow, this is really great. Moving forward, what do you think your sole purpose is in life?
Yeah, I think I mentioned that briefly in my
Before.
introduction. Yeah, I think from as little as like elementary, high school, I've always got that sense of I was just always different, in terms of just how I interacted with people, how I cared for people, how I showed up for people. I was just always different, and I think that contributes to the space, or I guess profession, that I'm in now in terms of being a mental health therapist, showing up for people, and that's something that I've seen the value in, especially like in the last month and a half, with work in private practice and everything. The value of holding space for people, the value of just being present, and not necessarily me having to say the right thing or do the right thing for that person, but just active listening and being present with someone as they are sharing their life, their lived experience, has been vital. And I think I found so much joy in that, knowing that I'm able to hold space for you in such a way that you never had that before. It's priceless, as that commercial will say, it's priceless. Because I, especially being being Black and holding space for Black people in the mental health space, and the value that I'm seeing with it, them being able to actually talk about things that they've been holding on to for years, being able to actually divulge and say things that they didn't have the space to say. For me, that is, life changing for myself and for them as well. Just being able to give them that space. I love it. And I think that is like that soul purpose for me, that just being able to be present for people and journey with people and to support them, and to not for me to get them where they want to be, but to support them in them getting themselves where they want to be. Because I think I hold a belief, especially with mental health, that our lived experiences has created something for us. And now when you enter into therapy and have decided to do that work, it's all about creation. What is it that you want to create from this lived experience to get you where you want to be? So, yeah.
Very well said.
Thank you.
I just wanted that to marinate, for a second. Silence.
Yes,
Not always
we use
awkward.
that in
Gives
therapy
people.
too, right?
Huh?
I said we use that in therapy too. Silence.
Got it.
It's a great tool.
Like Barbara said, I love what she said. She was like, that gives it a chance to marinate, sit, and be like, interesting. Um, but the surprise question is not really a surprise. I don't think it'll come for you, but
Okay.
because I've heard you talk about your faith, and you are a pastor, I believe you
Yeah, I'm a
said.
Christian, and I serve
Yeah.
as a pastor at my church. Yeah.
So, how does that intertwine with the care for the soul? How does your faith intertwine with your soul? Is it interesting? Yeah, I'm interested to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I think it's partnered. It's together. It can't dwell apart from each other. I hold the belief, that God is the author and finisher of our faith, as the scripture talks about. So I hold the belief that for us to be all that we need to be, other individuals may, refer to it as the universe, the source, whatever the case. I profess it as Jesus Christ, as God. So being connected to Him is what feeds my soul. It's the essence of my soul. I don't exist without Him. I don't get to do what I do without Him. And with that, He now impacts, how I now care for people, how I demonstrate being, empathizing with people and sympathizing with people, how I show up for people, how I hold space for people. It all stems from that. And His ability to love us and me unconditionally, I now offer that to other people and say, I'm going to love you unconditionally. Though you may be a client, my perspective, how I approach you, how I engage with you is always going to be through love. So of course there are policies and in different workspaces and things you got to navigate, whatever the case may be. But I think that now configures to how authentic I am in my practice and how authentic I am in engaging with individuals, that when you experience me, when you engage with me, you're going to see the love of God. When we have a conversation, I may not mention the name Jesus, I may not mention the name God or whatever the case may be, but how you interacted with me, how the conversations we had, how I respected you, how I, whatever advice I may have offered you, it's stemming from that. It's stemming from the love of God. So I think for me, that aspect of faith and soul, it's always together. It's not going to exist apart. And even if you don't believe in Jesus or in God or whatever the case may be, you still have some sort of faith that impacts you in some sort of way. So that's just for me, how those two things, they are in conjunction, they stick together, and that's how it impacts me in terms of how I interact with everyone that I come into contact with. And of course, we're not perfect, so yeah.
Of course not. Yeah. Perfectionism, huh? That's the world we live in. Everybody's somewhat trying to point a finger at somebody else, but you're like,
Man,
hey, you also have your flaws too, right? Like me too, I
yeah,
have my flaws, trust me.
yeah.
Um, but Nigel, I want to say thank you for coming aboard. Please stick around.
Absolutely.
To hear, the rest of everyone else. I
Yeah,
think this has been a healthy
yeah.
conversation. Next coming up, we do have Tamika. Lovely, yeah, lovely explanation. Gave me something to think about when it comes to answering my own questions later
Mm,
on, because I now want to kind of shift my answer to like give a total different perspective on what I consider as intuition.
gotcha.
All right.
Man, thank you so much. I really appreciate this opportunity, and we're gonna stay connected, man.
Yes, please reach out to me. I would love to stay connected. Please, yeah,
Yeah,
I do look for positive and great individuals to stay connected with to continue um just strong connections, right?
yeah,
Like just period. It doesn't always have to be about business.
right.
Sometimes it could just lead to great friendships.
Yeah,
And I think that's often overlooked. We live in a hustle and hustle and bustle culture
hmm,
where it's like what is going to be the benefit of us connecting, and then people just make it more about the business aspect than actually the connection aspect and figuring the other person out. Right? So
appreciate
not figuring them out necessarily, but actually let me rephrase that, because this is what we do here at Human, is giving them space to be themselves.
it. Yeah, that's what it's about. Yeah, appreciate
Not too many people do that, man.
it.
I do well.
Thanks, man.
Connect with me off of here, and I will bring up the next person.
Cool.
Lovely speaking with you.
You too, man. Later.
Yes, sir. Later. Next up, we have Tamika.
Hey,
Yes.
Troy.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, I'm
Yeah.
good. Got some great panelists here, man. Awesome. Very
Amazing,
inspiring.
right? Just
Hmm.
totally amazing. Oh
Yeah.
man, mind blowing. Like,
Mhm.
great session, man. Great session. So to continue on this great session, we have you here today, and I wanted to ask you the first question, which is how do you communicate and listen to your soul?
Well, I listen to my soul through silence. And for me, silence, very similar to what Barbara said, is through meditation. A lot of people think that meditation is just sitting at an altar, potentially praying, or doing sound meditations and things of that nature. But for me, meditation is comprised of a few things. I do pray. I do meditate, and in my own personal way. But one main thing that I do is I get in touch with nature. I love nature walks. I love nature walks. For me, after taking a nature walk, I just feel so like enlightened and like I just feel like I'm in a better space, a better mental space, a better headspace, and that allows me to really take heed to what's going on around me. It allows me to better assess what I'm dealing with and currently going through in the moment as well. So I would say meditation for the most part.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to ask a surprise question now because I have like you just gave me my surprise question. I listen with great intent while you're answering the questions, and I come up with the last question that's designed just for you.
Okay.
Um, Moving forward, do you think there's a difference between listening to your soul versus listening to your intuition?
I do, because for me, intuition is connected to your heart space, connected to my heart space. And the soul to me is merely an energetic force field within oneself. And for me, my intuition is my moral compass. It guides me throughout this life. And if you are a person with a religious background, you would know and would have learned from a young age that when you accept Lord and Savior Jesus Christ into your heart, you are aligned, so to speak. So,
Mm.
and that's what I believe when it comes to intuition and listening to versus my soul. So intuition versus my soul.
So,
Mm.
Okay.
Do you acknowledge your soul's duality? Why or why not?
Oh my soul's duality. I don't know. Like I thought about this question. And I was like, um, I don't. And you can break this down for me if you want to.
Mhm.
For me, I feel like the soul is just a energy, one source, one powerful source within oneself. So
Mhm.
I don't necessarily believe in soul duality, unless you're referring to the mind, body, and soul, in some way, shape, or form. But for me, my soul is my soul. And it also helps guide me into making certain decisions as well, alongside with being aligned with my heart space and my mind. So, yeah.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. And I'm starting to realize that people may have already answered this in the beginning, but I'll still ask it anyway in case they want to expand on it.
Uh-huh.
Um, what do you think your sole purpose is in life?
Um, as stated before, my sole purpose, I think and firmly believe, is to help nurture, guide anyone in any way possible. I said
Mm,
it before, from a young age, I was always so quick to try to help or potentially save someone from, whatever it is that they were going through, I would sometimes catch myself putting other people before myself. And I've learned over time that that's not a good thing to do. Because you find yourself in situations where you are energetically depleted, and if you have business to manage and a household to manage yourself, you cannot deplete yourself. So you have to find a balance, an equilibrium, to where you can nurture and fulfill your purpose, all the while making sure that you are also taking care of yourself. So.
mm. And the last question I had was, how does one's environment impact their soul?
I really feel like it impacts your soul a lot, for sure. I have been, and very similar to yourself, I've been in environments that have been very negative. The energy was just bad. The people in the environment was just bad. Being around pessimistic individuals daily, being around loud people daily, angry people daily. All of that energetically has an effect on a person's body, mind, soul, everything. And it could really, I think, deter you from, you know, taking care of yourself, for sure. Um, and I actually wanted to touch on something that Nigel touched on, and I kind of wrote it down. So I'm about to read from a piece of paper, okay? Give me a
Got
second.
you.
So he mentioned the environment, and he mentioned that although you may go through therapy and you may be in a good environment, the individual still may not feel safe, so to speak. And he mentioned that that had to do with them not doing the necessary work, right? And I agree with him, for the most part. But I feel a lot of the times we forget about the emotional aspect of things. The emotion to me is tied to a person's heartstrings, which is, and I'm sorry, I'm stuttering, but I feel like in therapy, I feel like therapy focuses on one aspect of the brain, right? From my research, therapy focuses on the front portion of the brain, all the while the emotions that lie within a being lies on the back part of the brain. So in talk therapy, I feel like it's great. The work that therapists do is amazing, and it's very helpful in many ways. But I feel like there needs to be more support when it comes to focusing on the emotional aspect of a being, because that is a huge um, uh, setback when it comes to helping someone in their healing process. I feel like, while a person has a therapist, which is a great resource. They also may have a healthy environment, which is great. That can also help with their healing experience and healing journey. But I feel like there's a holistic aspect of the healing process that is missing in most cases, especially with my experience in working with youth and young adults in the foster care community. I feel like there's not enough holistic resources available to youth and young adults. And I feel like, you know, a lot of the times I'm seeing that doctors are so quick to prescribe medication to individuals opposed to finding other alternatives, healthier alternatives for youth and young adults to heal themselves. And the medication itself is merely just suppressing the emotions. It's not necessarily healing the person or the emotional aspect of a being. So I feel like there's a lot of work that needs to be done while healing the emotional aspect of a being. So that's my aspect on, you know, the question. I forgot the whole question. As you can see, I forgot the whole question, right? But we're gonna move along. But
That was funny. She was like, that's my whole aspect on
that question.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I love it. This has been great. I love the way that you even took notes and we're adding to each other's perspective. I feel like at this campfire session is not necessarily right and wrong, but just difference of perspective and adding to each other's perspectives and how we approach our lives and our subject matters. That's what brings us together, right? I love it though. Love it. Love it. Because I also have something that I would like to address with Nigel too.
Listen, we can
When I
all get
answer
on
my
the phone
question.
and chop it up. We can all get on the phone and chop it up. Okay, Barbara, Melissa, Mary Bell, Toya, everybody.
Yeah, we'll all get together. Oh, Toya, thanks for joining us too. For those who are, she recently joined us. She will be performing at the end, so I do ask that people do stay to watch her perform after Mary's presentation. All right. So without further ado, Tamika, thank you. I appreciate you. And I'm going to go ahead now and bring on Mary. All right.
Thank you, Troy, for this amazing platform. Talk to you
You're
soon.
very welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Amazing. Wow. Okay. There we go. This has been great so far. Oh, hey, Mary.
You got me
Uh, huh?
You just got me fired up, Tamika.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was amazing. I like your sweater too. Like,
Thanks, yeah.
it fits your background. Like, your aesthetic is cool. I like it.
Thanks.
Nice aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Cool. So, how do you communicate and listen to your soul?
In the stillness, I think everyone said what I believe, what I think too, but also in the stillness, in the breath work. And I'll just take you through a short breath work. But basically, the science has proven, like with these breath techniques that we do, so we do some rhythmical breathing, breath hold, and then another breath hold in. But what it does is quiet your ego mind, which is your monkey mind, which is your default mode network, like your programming that quiets, and then you can connect to your soul. So we'll do a little practice where you can quiet the mind, enter the soul, into the center. So that's what I mean by nurturing my soul, is doing that daily just to check into my intuition, stuff like that.
Every time I do that, you always do that. That is funny. Um, do you think there's a difference between your soul versus listening to your soul versus listening to your intuition?
I've had like different views on this, because the first time I read it, I was like, no, I don't think so. But actually listening to Nigel, I'm like, maybe. But if you think of it as like the soul is like the vessel, like the homing device, and then the intuition's like the navigation, like the GPS kind of. Does that make sense? So like the intuition guides you, but the soul is always the center.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of.
I get what you're saying. I do actually.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do. Interesting. Do you acknowledge your soul's duality? Why or why not? Oh no, I skipped one. Excuse me. No. That's exactly what I did. You know, I did it correct.
Absolutely, yeah, I did. Well, I grew up Christian, so I was always like sin, love, and then I kind of had to wipe everything I believed when I came. I was in a church that I got really spiritually abused in, so I just believe that, and start fresh. And like my whole view is like God is love, but I think our soul has those all the parts, all the shadows and all the, I'm not going to say evil, but you know, we have all the lust and greed and all that stored in us in kind of places, but really underneath it, it's all love, because we all just want to be loved and we all want to get it right. So what I do with my shadow is I acknowledge it. If there's something there that I'm maybe ashamed of, I'll acknowledge that part of me and I'll let it be heard and seen, and then I'll just tell it that it doesn't need to strive anymore, and then that it's loved. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. It's like Barbara said in her interview, with our one-on-one interview, is that you're choosing positivity. You know, you're choosing to put that at the forefront. You're making a choice to move forward with love instead of any other emotion or influence that might be coming through way of your soul.
Yeah.
Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Love instead of fear, because if you fear these parts of you, they can take over. If you say to them, "I love you," they'll just soften. Kind of what I've learned through the whole thing. Yeah.
I feel like I'm asking a redundant question right now, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Just in case you want to expand on it. What is your soul's purpose?
Yeah, just to be who I am here, and not overthink it. Just keep it simple. Like it's all just love. Like we all just want to be loved. So let's just love each other and like have a good time.
Hmm.
Yeah, I spent a lot of years striving. I used to be a workaholic. I owned like 3 businesses. I was at the top of my ladder in the makeup world. I had a brand, but I was doing it all wrong. I was doing it to find my worth in that. And I had to sell everything. I had to lose my whole identity and just start fresh. And what I learned was that I don't need to do anything. I'm still me. And I'm here just to shine what I have.
I'm happy that you came to that conclusion.
Yeah.
It's difficult because a lot of us base our lives or base our worth in our labels. I read a book called Happiness is the Way. It's actually right here in front of me. It's a little bit dingy, but really good book. It's by Dwayne W. Dyer. And he speaks about that, how we need to start to let go of our of the labels we have, so that way it makes it easier for us to continue to discover who we are. And it might even bring us to the brink of trying to figure out what we are, right? Outside of the human aspect, but more so what's inside of us. I'll possibly be talking about that when it comes to me answering the questions moving forward. But I think the special question I have for you, no, I haven't been able to like really.
Okay.
Yeah. When do you think your soul? Do you think your soul evolved within that space and time when you were shedding yourself of your businesses, of the labels, of everything you gained? What do you think happened within that transformation that benefited your soul?
Oh, I just
Mm,
grew. I grew into who I am without having anybody telling me who I am. If I just remember I've left my makeup brand and I left all my friends who drank a lot, and I would do makeup on like the owner of Walmart. Like I really made it in that world. And I
mm,
remember just feeling horrible, and they weren't nice people. And I looked out at the water and I was like, I don't even like this life. Like, because I was on a super yacht. I was just like, I don't like this life. And came back, just got rid of everything, my friends, and I had 2 kids too, so I had my family to support me. But I found myself, I didn't have anybody to rely on, and I remember my breath being like, I've got you. And
mm,
because I was worried what people were saying, and the breath was just like, I've got you, which the breath to me is spirit, because breath means spirit in Latin. And, and it's always there. So like, yeah, that's what grew me, is just knowing that I don't need to be everything. I can just be me.
mm. Wow. It's crazy that a lot of us spend time chasing things that we truly don't understand that at times the grass may not be greener on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
So tell them I say hello. Outside of that, though, I want to say thank you for sharing, and I may be reaching out to you for an interview if you're cool with that. I would possibly like to gather the whole story, and the reason why is because I think that I don't know, man. We're just being fed such a severe illusion.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people are happy when they get to where they think that they want to go, to be
Mm-mm.
honest with you.
Yeah, because it's all the purpose that you're doing it. And I think, yeah, I was finding my purpose in my work and who I could impress. And it's just crazy to look back and be like, whoa.
Hmm.
Mm.
Is it shocking now when you look back? Are you like, whoa, like what was I doing back then? Like what state of mind
I
was I in?
think like the journey, but my makeup brand's still going, and they just got signed by a news agency. And I just look and I'm like, it's not it's not fun anymore. Like it's just cool. Like you did that and now you can buy a car. Like, it's just not worth it. No, you can buy a Maserati, like it's just you've got your Maserati and then you're still you with all your trauma, with all your stuff sitting there. And there's no like living. It's just yeah, it's just getting these things to impress these people. And oh, it's just, to me, it's just, I don't get life anymore. I'm just,
Wow.
answer your question is I've had a veil taken off, and I'm like, we are living in these illusions, as you just said, of what actually matters.
I have to interview you. I have to.
Okay.
No, it's important. It is. Because a lot of people are drowning themselves here in America
Oh,
underneath an illusion that is severe. But the
yeah.
illusion is so elusive, right? Like it's so hard to like pinpoint exactly where you can like pull the veil back at.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So speaking of that, like with the breath work, I take people back to an inner child moment. So quiet the ego. My rooster's going crazy. Sorry if you can hear it.
That's
You
okay.
quiet your ego and you go back to a childhood home. And it pinpoints some moments of where you started your programming or where you started your fear all your worth. And I was building a brick wall with my dad. He's American, by the way. He's like a full-blown workaholic American man. And he moved here to get away, but he still didn't do any work. So like he was building this brick wall and I was helping him because I was the youngest of 5, and I was like putting it together, and he goes, "You're the best worker in this family." And I took that as, oh, that's what I do. That's my worth. So that was a moment I went back to and I cleared, and I was like, oh, that's just what he said. And I took it on, and then I don't need to do that anymore. So that's why I love this work, is because you can go back and pinpoint these places in your life where you started your programming.
Mm.
Mm.
Chef's kiss, amazing.
Yeah.
The way you started your program.
Yeah.
I say that a lot. Huh?
Do you say that?
I say that a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, I do. I tell people we're underneath lots and lots of programming.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. It's like even when you think you've gotten out of a program, you might still be in another program.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Toya says, I feel like your rooster keeps saying amen, sister. That is funny. Actually, you know what? Well, Toya, would you like to come on and answer some of the questions, or you still want to wait just to perform? I mean, either way, that's fine by me. I am going to also answer my own questions too. So what I'll do is I'll bring you back on, Mary, all right, in a little while. And then we'll continue with the campfire. Oh, she's going to come on. That's great. All right, Mary. See you later. And I'm happy that you was able to pull back that veil. Good one. You're welcome.
Hi.
Hey, Toy. How you
Good. How
doing?
are you?
I'm good. This is our first time officially meeting each other. It seems like you're okay. Cool. Now it's like not pixelated. Um,
Good.
so weirdly enough, we did like an intro piece already. So I'll just have you like for everybody who's just meeting you because you're coming in a little bit later. I'll take it from the top, real quick. I'll just breeze through the questions though. So please introduce yourself to the audience, where you're calling in from, your life's mission, business, or profession.
Ooh, okay. Well, my name is Victoria Fragoso. You can call me Toya. Um, I am calling from Tacoma, Washington, so like just south of Seattle. Um, and my life's work.
Your life's work, business, or profession, or all three if you want.
So the thing that I enjoy most in life is songwriting and helping people. So like first and foremost, I'm a mom, and so that kind of like takes precedence over a lot of different jobs that I have taken on or also do right now. So yeah, those are the big things for me.
Amazing on being a mother, by the way.
Thank you.
I was actually pretty astonished when you said that to me. I was like, oh, I would not have like got that like from just looking at your Instagram. So when you said it,
Yeah.
it came across as like a little shock, and I was like, I got it. You have to take care of responsibilities. There's no problem with that.
Yeah.
Um,
A lot of fun, but yeah, lots of responsibilities for sure.
yeah. I oftentimes tell my friends that if I had kids, they would barely see me. I'll be so enthralled with the kid, like making sure that the kid is okay. Of course, bringing it around other people, bringing the kid around other people, but making sure the kid is okay for the most
Oh
part.
yeah, absolutely.
Um, when you hear the phrase care for the soul, what does that mean to you?
I mean, that's like a really big thing that I'm just now really diving into. So for care of the soul, it really means like taking a step back. And I think, I don't know, for me, for sure, and you guys all each touched on it a little bit, like the programming is to do, not to be. And so oftentimes I feel like most of my life I've spent running away from caring for my soul and caring for other people's souls, or getting caught up in what everybody else is doing. So for me, care for the soul is like you are taking a step back and focusing on something that can actually make many more lives better by focusing on that versus just trying to help other people. The more that you help yourself develop, learn, grow, like the better a guide you can be for other people, the better a light you can shine for other people. And so that's what, yeah, caring for the soul means to me.
Amazing. And what inspired you to be part of Campfire sessions outside of myself?
Well, I loved everybody's responses too, and thinking about like how like like I'm a writer at heart, and so stories are really important to me, and thinking about being at a campfire, even when somebody mentioned like all the way back in the day when we didn't have houses and we lived in caves and stuff, that sense of like community, but also like that connection. So anyways, I also do a live stream show every Tuesday, and I love connecting one-on-one with people. I love talking to people, hearing their stories and having conversations, because I think for me, I feel like that's the best way that I've learned how to grow, and how I've been able to learn more about myself, and really figure out like, what does make me happy? What do I like? Who do I want to be? What values do I have? What do I want to stand for? So that's what inspired me to do this. I was just like, this is such a cool idea. This is such a cool concept. I think we need to do more of this kind of thing. And the thing like I want to focus about being positive about social media is that you're able to connect with so many people, so many different places in the world, and be exposed to newer thoughts. And so yeah, that's it.
Yes, um, human is it's beautiful. It's definitely a responsibility for sure for me to have to craft a platform that's global. It's not only a platform but a global community where it's my job to bring in people from around the world, regardless of even language barriers, right? Like we've had people from France on who spoke English.
Oh wow,
that was a lucky
that's
strike, right? But we was able to get them on. And so I find it important to do this. And the reason why I find it important is because we're in the age of the machine, and it's only going to we're going through phases of quantum leaps right now. A lot of people may not know what that looks like.
yeah.
I'm not doubting how much a person may or may not know, but I know what I feel. Like I speak about emotional intelligence, and I've used my emotions to project myself into the future just a bit. And I think this platform needs to exist. I once told the man that the platform doesn't belong to me. It belongs to something that's greater than myself. And the reason why I say that is because it would still be in existence even if it wasn't through me. It will still be here because it's needed for this time. We're moving into an area that's about to forge a gray space. If anybody has ever heard of the WGS, it's the World Government Summit. They spoke about transhumanism, and that will put us in the gray space in terms of human rights in a way that we've never seen before in our lives, because it's the integration with technology, with human beings. And it's
Yeah, that's a big,
really great.
It's a big
in that
conversation
area.
to have, Yeah.
Yes, we'll be having that conversation in depth on Campfire sessions towards the close of the year. Is called the Campfire session dedicated to that conversation is called The Age of the Machine.
Very cool. I love that.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Moving forward, though, because we're trying to catch you up here. How do you communicate with how do you communicate and listen to yourself?
I think for a long time I didn't. And I think there were so many things that happened in my 3D reality that I thought like my soul is not worth that much, or my value as like a human being is strictly to be here for other people. So I think like starting to write and starting to write songs, music like has always really spoken to me. And then I think that's how I was able to like communicate with my soul in a way. It's like I was able to say things I couldn't say in real life, like things that I was feeling that I didn't know how to express in a conversation maybe. So it was more of like I had to converse with my soul through music. And so I love having conversations with people, but I feel that I grew up thinking like I grew up feeling very lonely. And so communicating with the soul for me was using my music to like communicate for myself, like to be able to have that vocabulary to express what I was feeling. So I think learning from that and having my daughter was like, okay, this is like an ongoing conversation. You don't have to keep stopping and starting. Like, why don't you connect with your soul in like a very, like, be true to yourself, be true to your soul, and find ways to like live that way, as opposed to only using it in certain like scenarios. So to be in constant communication with someone, I think, is always really hard. So when you think about being in constant communication with yourself and the soul, sometimes maybe that can feel like a little bit daunting, but it's like the most important relationship that you can have in your life, because then it allows you to appreciate. I believe it feels like it can allow you to appreciate so much more in relationships with other people.
That was beautifully said.
Thank you.
I just wanted to let you know that. Yeah, you're welcome. No problem. Do you think there's a difference between listening to your soul versus listening to your intuition?
This is a really good question. I was listening earlier on one of my other accounts, and my daughter and I were playing outside, and I was running through a sprinkler, listening to everybody's like responses to these questions. They were so good. And this one was one that really got me, because I think I've been trying to learn a lot about listening to my intuition, a lot about listening to my soul, and what maybe the differences are. And I think for right now, what I feel is that an intuition for me is like a knowing, and then the soul feels more like a feeling. Like the intuition is like more of like a download from the universe of like, it's true. It's true. It's true for you. It's true. It's showing in your reality. It's true. Versus like listening to your soul is like, wow, you're having a really big emotional reaction. You're spiraling. Like Barbara, I was listening to that interview. I was like spiraling. So it's like, okay, for me, the soul is more about listening to the emotions of like how your heart is connecting with your body, essentially. Like, so I've had a lot of out of body experiences where I'm not in my body, and I don't necessarily feel the emotions because I don't want to, but I know that they exist and they're happening. So that's where I kind of see that disassociation from the soul of like, that's why I think intuition and the soul feel like different types of knowing to me, different types of, communicating. I don't know. Does that make sense?
I can see where you're going. I can see where you're
Yeah.
going.
I think I'm
But I
still
wanted
exploring this question in my life, I would say.
and that's no problem. That makes us all human, right?
Yeah.
If we're not learning, then what are we doing? We're not growing. So then we're not living. And a human outside of being
Mm-hmm.
also lives too at the same time. So
Yeah.
and trust me, it's like yeah. I understand what you were saying. I think you know what I'm gonna wait till it's my turn to answer because I don't want to give an answer to you without addressing everyone because I was like that's kind of unfair because I want to address everyone at the same time. Do you acknowledge your soul's duality? Why or why not?
So this was really also an interesting question for me. I was like, my soul's duality, like, but then when you explained it as like a positive and a negative, or maybe like a self and a shadow, that was really intriguing to me. So having just started to like explore that idea, I was thinking about the songs that I was going to play today, and I found a song that I felt like fit the shadow of my soul, and I was like, okay, I guess I do believe that there is somewhat of a duality in the nature of your soul, and that it's part of like life, as we talked about, like struggle and awareness of that struggle. And like if you didn't have bad days, you wouldn't know what good days were, or how to appreciate them. So for a soul, if we are not going through trials and tribulations, challenges, we're not aware of how far we might have come or how much, suffering and pain can impact our experiences and our souls. And then also like how beautiful the human soul is. So yeah, that was a really cool question. So thank you for asking that one. But yeah, that's what I would say right now.
You are very welcome. And I think when I answer it, you'll get a gist as to why I wanted to I wanted to have it as one of the questions that are there
Cool.
for sure. Um, and last but not least, well, this is actually not the last question because I always have a surprise question.
Okay.
Um, what do you think your sole purpose is in life?
Um, Definitely, I would say to be like a light. I love to make people laugh, even if I'm not that funny. I love to see people in their joy and encourage that and witness that. And especially having my own child now is like all these beautiful things that I want for her in her life. Not necessarily like things like material items, but like joyful experiences. Like it's so fun. Like life can be so fun if we just, learn to see that side of it. Um, so yeah, I would say like to bring joy, to bring light, to bring music. I think music is just so healing. And so that's why I started to share my music. I wasn't doing that. And a lot of people already like would ask me and encourage me. And for me, it wasn't enough. I wasn't ready. And so now getting to that place now is really freeing. It's great when you don't have to like hide or avoid certain things about yourself that you really enjoy. So that's what I would say.
Amazing.
Yeah. So
Give you space to be yourself.
yeah.
Amazing. Um, so because you touched on the music and how it slightly touches your soul, I'm not going to make that your surprise question.
Okay.
How does being a mother feed your soul in in terms of especially having carried your daughter,
Mm-hmm.
literally being intertwined, soul to soul. What does
Uh,
that look like for you?
can you repeat the question? Because I just
Oh, how has being a mother impacted your soul,
okay.
especially?
Yeah, it's just taken me to a completely new level of awareness for me, something that I needed. Um, it has, I mean, yeah, it's just, I mean, there's so many, definitely parenthood is difficult. Like there's this big layer of responsibility. There's a lot of things that society and others who are very programmed into that society will tell you are really, really important to do, to be, to say. And for me, it's been really great to, and challenging, but to have this experience and then to like, it's allowed me to, I think, fight a bigger fight or encouraged me to stand up for bigger things. Because I have such like an important thing to protect and to guide and to help grow. And so like it's been amazing. And I think like there are so many people who are parents to other people in ways that we don't always acknowledge. And so it's just been like, okay, I understand like a lot of experiences that I've had before caring for other people has really helped me care for my child and made me realize a lot of things that I wasn't doing, and that some things that were really important that I wasn't recognizing or acknowledging or, helping to nourish in other people. So I think for me specifically, like just the way, like, I don't feel like I ever really enjoyed life until I had her, because there was this elevated sense of this innocence, this just passion for experience. I think it was Mary Bell who was talking about like being. And so it's like, oh, we can just enjoy this moment. Like there's a laundry list of things to do, but this is so much, this is so needed, this is so important, this work is so important, even though it seems like from the outside nothing's being accomplished, nothing's getting done. This work is important too. um, so yeah.
Mm, very well said. And especially I like the way when you said that you said people are role models or parents for other individuals, right? That may not seem like they may not even know that, you know. I think that's very important. That's a very good highlight in terms of just how we interact as human beings and what we really do for one another, even if it's not spoken,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I'm going to go ahead and get ready to bring Mary Bell on. Actually, before I do that, though, I'm going to go ahead and answer the questions myself, but I'm going to let it be go back to full screen. I will bring you back on for performances. I look forward to seeing your performances later and hearing your songs too. You can also please give us an explanation behind what inspired you to write the songs. Also, I'm curious to hear that
Okay.
too. All right,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Hello, everyone. So, um, amazing campfire session so far. I did want to take the time to interact myself. Of course, for those who may not know me, I'm Troy, also known as Wise Truth. I am responsible for the Human platform and Human Campfire sessions. I wanted to answer the main segment questions myself. The main questions, how do I communicate and listen to my soul? I do agree that it is a form of stillness for me, but it's also outside of a form of stillness. I actually find myself listening to my soul in moments that, in my opinion, are cutting edge. Moments when I feel like a lot of thought has to get put towards solving a problem or navigating life in a difficult manner. I feel like my soul comes into play a lot, that internal voice that helps guide me and push me through. Um, do I think that there's a difference between listening to my soul versus listening to my intuition? Yes, actually, I do. I believe that my intuition comes from my gut more, me personally. And I know Nigel did speak about this earlier about intuition being related to irrational thought, but I feel like intuition, in my opinion, is it's something that is like a sixth sense that is tied into your emotional intelligence that guides you throughout life, that lets you, I don't know, it's like you're seeing beyond just what is presented in the moment. My intuition from a person that was homeless for an extremely long time has kept me out of some really bad situations. Yes, I do agree that some of my intuition comes from the ability to identify patterns, in which, if you're not careful, Nigel did speak about this, that you can get caught inside these cycles. But I also do believe that your intuition is there to help tell you what is good and what may not be good for you through relation, or excuse me, alignment of energy between you, another person, you in a scenario, right? Now, when it comes to my soul, I think the difference there is that my soul is, my intuition is more light, and it kind of like, I feel it, but when my soul decides to make a decision on something, I feel like my soul dictates part of my life. Perfect example, if I'm talking to someone or young lady I like at an interpersonal level, and I feel like um, even though the appearance might look great or might look good in terms of the attraction and me wanting to speak to her, if I feel like my spirit does not align with this person, my soul would let me know right away, right? And that prevents me from moving forward with that person. So it's like my soul dictates, even in business, whether I'm going to move forward with the person or whether I'm going to disengage. It all depends on the way that my soul feels, right? And then, um, do you acknowledge your soul's duality. Why or why not? I do acknowledge my soul's duality, and I've been actually dying to say this for a while. And the reason why that I found that question to be important and for me to actually jot it down is I want you to ask yourself a question. Do you ever think, right? Like your brain, your mind is thinking, and you're struggling, you're fighting against negative thoughts. In my opinion, those thoughts are still part of your soul. I feel like there's another side of your soul that people don't really like to explore, but I've heard it from somebody. As you grow in a positive sense, your shadow will also grow. It's just the challenge, the side that challenges you, in my opinion. Like, I don't think that we're without flaw. I don't like Mary said, I don't think we're without flaw. I don't think that we are exempt from some of the darkest sides that, humanity does possess. I do get focusing on the positive side, and that leads back to what Barbara has said in our previous interview, uh, or the interview that we did previously before the campfire session, which was that it's a choice, right? That's what it boils down to. But it does not mean that that other side is not there. I think I think that's pretty bad, and everybody has it. Everybody has it because we all choose to either be good to one another or we choose to be bad to one another, right? Um, that's just my deep perspective of it. And then what do I think my sole purpose is in life? Well, you're seeing it right now. I'm living it. Right here with human campfire sessions, I do believe that I am here to level the playing field in terms of trying to provide some good for the world in the midst of uh, un a time that's uncertain, where I think a lot of us are unsure exactly what the future will be. A lot of us are raising a lot of concerns. But to have that shoulder to lean on, to have that person that you can relate to have that community that you could go back to and just be just judge free, right? Like, yeah, we're not here to judge you. Yeah, we might not agree with each other with every little thing, but we can surely hear each other out and build upon each other's perspectives. And I think that's where, I come into play. Am I perfect? Far from it. All right. But at the end of the day, I think that's what makes me a great candidate for me putting together human, is because I acknowledge that I am human and do not try to be anything else more than that. All right. So without further ado, I just wanted to interact and answer my own questions for today's campfire session. That was brought to my attention by my assistant that that I at times don't interact as much as I should. So I was like, I'm gonna make a conscious effort to start doing that more. And let's bring back on Mary. She has a presentation for us today, and I would like to turn her over, excuse me, give her the floor back. Respecting one another, even if we have a different perspective. That's what it's all about. That is what it's all about, Barbara. Love it. Let's see if she's here. Yep, there she is. Thank you, Barbara. I appreciate that.
Hey,
Hey, Mary.
thanks for sharing. It's good.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, I didn't want to. I wanted to interact. I feel like I do a lot of asking the questions, and nobody truly knows where I stand.
Mm.
And I think my voice matters too, right? Not, I don't want too much of the shine on me, but I just think that my friends who are close to me observe that I have a lot to say off
Yeah.
camera. Like I have a ton to say off camera. And then I come on camera and I'm like, well, no, it's about the other person. And they're like, well, you need to say something too.
Yeah,
And I'm
no,
like,
good that you're doing that. Mm.
thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. So what do you have in store for us here today?
Oh, well, I'll just do a short this because yeah, I've got to get my kids soon. So the breath, I'll just start talking about the breath a little bit, and then we'll do a short practice to you can experience what I am I'm addicted to in a good way. It's just, I have two kids under 6. They still trigger me. As I say, I'm not perfect. As you say, we're not perfect, but we have tools that we can use. So this tool for me helped me in my relationships. It helps me when I'm out and I'm nervous. It helps me when I'm going to speak in front of people. It helps me just when I'm driving and I'm late. Little things in life. We don't need to be in the clouds all the time, but we can always bring down our heart rate, and we can do that from breathing. And when we bring down our heart rate, we calm our nervous system, and then we're back in control. So one is the superhero breath, which I use anytime I'm stressed out, or if somebody's triggered me and you start to go out of your frontal mind, you go into your reptilian brain, you can start to like get a little bit shaky, things like that. So this is a proven neurologist breath that you can do. So you can do it with me. So just breathing in for 2 breaths into your tummy, then into your chest. So breathing into your tummy, into your chest, hold for 7 seconds. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then let go for 8 seconds. Cool, we'll do that one more time. So into your belly, into your chest, hold for 7, and then letting go for 8. Now, when you breathe out, relax into your muscles and relax them. Don't hold the tension. Because we tend to hold the tension and the emotion. But if you sink into your body on your exhale, it's like, imagine you're getting into a spa. So I see the exhale as more important because it lowers the heart rate. When you breathe in, your heart rate starts to go faster. But when you breathe out, your heart rate goes down because it's releasing the pressure off the heart. So just thinking about the exhale as more important because it's detoxing 70% of your toxins as well. So you're fully clearing out all of these old toxins and you're detoxing your body so that when you take your next breath, you can feel these cells and they can properly heal. So I look at healthcare on a cellular level now. Like our bodies are made to regenerate, and if they're not regenerating properly, they're not optimal. And what are you going to do? Go get some pharmaceuticals that just masks the problem, but you have to get back to your cellular health. And the way that you can do that is through breathing correctly. And a lot of people don't breathe correctly. A lot of people breathe up here. Right? Does that look familiar? Like up in here. Where are your lungs? Are they here? No, your lungs are here. So just thinking about where your lungs are, breathing into your lungs, filling your body with nice fresh oxygen, letting it out. So if you can elongate your exhale for as long as possible, you're already getting healthier. This will help your fitness, like you won't get fatigued as much. I walk up the mountain in here that I walk up and I count how many people mouth breathe the whole way up, and they're all like breathing into their chest with their mouth open. And what this does is it fatigues your body quicker. So you want to close your mouth, breathe through the nose, and use your power from your diaphragm, and you won't get as tired. It's your challenge. So if you're walking upstairs, if you're walking up a hill, close your mouth, breathe through your nose, and come back to me because it works every time. And also I tape my mouth at night. I was an avid mouth breather. I always have a sore throat in the morning. My nose would get stuffy. So taping your mouth at night, it helps to breathe through the nose for 8 hours, and it clears the nose. It clears all the pathways and things like that. And it filters the air. And you don't dehydrate your body as much. So I've done it for 2 years and I haven't like suffocated or anything. So just give it a go. Even just do it when you're exercising on a bike or something and see what happens, because the mouth breathing is just there for talking and eating, and no animal mouth breathes. So we should be breathing correctly, we can do it. We can do it. It slows down your breath too.
Wow.
Mm.
I mouth breathe a lot too.
Yeah. If I worked in a hospital, I'd be taping everyone's mouth because they're all like mouth breathing and you're dehydrating your whole body.
Mm.
It's helped my sinuses clear too. So like there's so much power in just nose breathing. So yeah, you didn't know. I didn't know this, and when I found out, it blew my mind, and my health just went great.
Mm.
Yeah.
I need to try some superhero breathing while I count mouse.
That one's the everyday superhero breath. Then now we're going to do your connection to your soul. So this one's going to be 30 breaths and then a breath hold out and hold. It will be really hard for you if you've mouth breathed a lot because you're used to just getting oxygen all the time. So what we're doing is we're increasing your CO2 tolerance, which is what we breathe out. This is why monks live on high mountains, because the CO2, the oxygen's lower, so they can get into a meditative state easier. If you've got less oxygen in your body, you lower your oxygen levels and your heart rate, you can get into a meditative state so easy. And this is why I love it, was because I was always so stimulated that I couldn't meditate. But doing this just quiets everything, and then it quiets your waters, and then you can kind of just like zone in to your soul. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm
I
ready.
just do, how much time do we have?
I mean,
Okay,
you can go ahead, Mary. You're
we'll
fine. Huh?
do 2 rounds. So 30 breaths, breath
That's
hold,
fine.
breath hold. Okay, cool.
30 breaths. So when you say 30 breaths, hold on.
Yeah.
Oh man, I wish I had some
I'll,
water because I'm a little dehydrated. But give me 1 second.
I can guide you. There's two options. You can mouth breathe in and out or nose breathe in and out. Mouth breathing oxygenates your body easier, so you can hold your breath for a longer amount of time. This is like the Wim Hof method. If you've heard of Wim Hof, he gets in the ice bath. Oh. There's like a Swedish guy who gets in ice water as well, which is what I do with my clients, but it puts you in a stressful state, but you're in control. So your body's afraid and your soul's never afraid. So getting in the ice water and slowing down your breath grows you in ultimate ways, as well as doing these breath holds as well. So give it a go, see what it's like, but I'll guide you through this. So it's continuous breath. This is why we call it breath work, because it can get tiring. You don't have a space between your breath. So if you're ready, just start with me now. So in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. You can close your eyes, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. This is 10, so keep going, in and out, in, out, in, out, in, out. This is oxygenating your cells, in and out, and in and out. You'll get lightheaded. It's like a natural high. Keep going, in, out, in, out, in, out. We've got 10 more. And flare your nostrils open to make more air come in too. Keep going. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Breathe in and hold the breath for a second, and then letting go slowly. And now holding your breath at the bottom of this breath. And feel your body's energy. Feel the tingles. Feel your heartbeat. And just holding your breath for as long as you can, going past that comfort zone. Observing your body. And just connecting to your soul. All right, now take a breath in and just holding the breath at the top. And here you can kind of start to connect to your intuition. And if there's anything your intuition or your soul has to speak to you, just let it. Maybe it's to slow down. Maybe it's to be gentle on yourself. All right, you can just come back to a nice slow breath. So usually we do 3 rounds of that.
You said usually we do what? Go ahead, continue.
What's that?
No, what did you say, Mary?
Usually we do 3 rounds of that.
Okay.
Once you get to the end of that, it's just total bliss. And you can lay and listen to music. You can get wisdom. Wisdom just comes to you. If you don't know what to do for a job, you can kind of visualize what you love to do. Yeah, it's such powerful work because it's in the stillness. And I saw someone said that their life is way too fast for this. And it's like just a reminder to, even if it's 20 minutes of just sitting and using your breath to quiet you. Yep. So 30 breaths in and out, and you can repeat the process. That's for sure. I've got recordings on my YouTube that you can just do anytime you want. I do it once a day if I can, and yeah.
Thank you, Mary.
How did you feel on the exhale?
I felt good. I was more centered on when you was telling me to hold the breath at what was it, the bottom of the exhale, right? And I held the breath right there. It's like I could literally feel my heart beating in that moment, like literally. It was cool. It was definitely different. I did start to feel the lightheadedness. And you know what else you learn? Weirdly enough, you learn how unhealthy you may be. It's not negative, but it
Yeah.
just shows you like how you can improve your body,
Yeah.
right? Things that you should work on. It definitely shows you that the breath work. Because to be honest with you, I do smoke, cigarettes. So
Yeah.
it's something that does affect me in certain ways. And it's interesting to like see how doing this work and getting rid of certain things could bring you up, to a different stage in life, allowing your blood to flow better and for you to almost slip into a meditative state. And you're right, breathing in and out so much did make me slightly lightheaded, slightly. Not to the point of like losing control or almost fainting, but more to the point where you could feel like a certain release as if a chemical was released, right? Within
Yeah.
your body.
That's the breath work high. Like us breathwork coaches always joke about it because it's like you're kind of, if you're doing like an hour of that, you release DMT, which is spirit molecule as well, and people have profound experiences with God, and they've likened it to ayahuasca and mushrooms. So you can create it in your body, and that's what we're doing. And as you say, like you smoke, that superhero breath is a smoking technique. So when you smoke, you're actually doing breath work in a way. You're going outside and you're breathing for 5 minutes, right? You can
Yeah.
cigarette because the nicotine spikes your heart rate and it gives you that rush, but you can still do the breathing without it. Does that make sense?
Yes, of course. Hmm.
Yeah.
You could reenact the way that you inhale and exhale without the actual tobacco itself. I
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah. So I always tell people if they're smoking, they're still doing breath work. It's just that's what's actually calming you down, is the breathing part.
Not the tobacco, trust me.
Goes the rush.
Oh man. Well, Mary, thank you for this. I appreciate you. Um, I will definitely be in touch, for sure. I do know that you have to attend to the kids,
Yeah.
but hopefully you're around to hear the next segment that's coming up with Toya. Indeed.
Thanks. I'm
All
looking
right.
forward, but thank you for having me, and it's been really nice to connect with Barbara, Tamika, and Nigel, and you, and yeah, Toya. So thank you. It's been really cool.
You're very welcome. Feel free to connect with anyone. I know that Toya's interested in the videos. I think it'll be great, if you reached out to her and just
Yeah, I will.
share, what your YouTube. Oh, I would love to support your YouTube too. I also do have a YouTube channel, so if I could subscribe to yours, I'll send you mine so we could, have that exchange there.
Yeah.
And yeah, I look forward to seeing you in the future for an interview.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good one, Mary.
Yeah.
See you.
Thanks, Barbara.
All right, and up next, we have Toya.
Hello.
Hey, Toya.
Hi.
That's a cool background, by the way. I meant to say that earlier. It looks like it's underwater a little bit
It does.
because of the way it's designed.
So my house gets a little warm, especially in the front room with all the windows. And so we've put blankets on top of it. So there's like a blanket behind this motif, which, yeah, it does look like it's underwater.
Yeah, I was like, isn't that cool? For a second, I had to look really close.
Yeah,
Like, hold on, can you put backgrounds behind like Instagram videos now?
I
That's what I'm
wish.
thinking in my
I
head.
wish.
And
Yeah, that'd be
you
fun.
have the perfect background. That is so cool. It's like really is a trick on the eye. Um, but what do you have, excuse me, for us here today?
Well, I'm going to play 3 songs, all originals that I wrote. I want to thank Mary Bell for that wonderful breathwork before, and we'll see. Like, I'm curious to hear how it affects my singing because I typically don't breathe very well. I get like also very nervous performing. It's just something that like I don't want anymore. That's no longer serving me. So I definitely am like excited to learn more about breath work. I've been really interested in, I've tried a few different things, and mostly I do meditations with some breath work in it. And it's been really enlightening to, experience how much like you're in, like to be in your body. And especially when you're performing music, like it is really important that you're present and that you're in your body when you perform. So anyways,
Mm.
yeah, just really, really interesting. But the first song I'm going to play for you is called Beautiful Things. I think I'll play it first and then explain why I wrote it, if that's okay, to let people have the experience first. Okay, cool. I'm playing a ukulele today, so you can't see it too well.
Oh yeah, hold that up. That's cool. Look
Yeah,
at that.
that's
It's nice. Oh, what's that? The Nimbus Cloud?
it. Kind of looks like one. Yeah, so this is a Fender.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
that's cool.
and it's
Nice.
a Danny Harrison collaboration with Fender. So yeah, want nothing but beautiful things for you. Nothing but moonshine and beams for you. I'll leave nothing but beautiful dreams for you, my love. We watch stars falling from the roof of the car. It's then I saw a spark of magic in the dark. The light behind your eyes could have filled the whole night sky. Now that light is the star that guides my heart. I want nothing but beautiful things for you. Nothing but moonshine and beams for you. I see nothing but beautiful dreams for you, my love. When I think back to the moments that last, holding your hand, your strawberry curls, your little eyes. We share a smile with a feeling welling up inside me now. Is there a better way to say it? I want nothing but beautiful things for you. Nothing but moonshine dreams for you. I see nothing but beautiful dreams for you, my love. I want nothing but beautiful, my love. I want nothing but beautiful, my love. I want nothing but beautiful, my love. Beautiful. I want nothing but beautiful things for you. Nothing but moonshine and beams for you. I see nothing but beautiful dreams for you, my love. Nothing but beautiful things for you. Nothing but moonshine the whole night through. I see nothing but beautiful dreams for you, my love. My love, my love. Thank you.
Okay, guys, put the claps in the chat. Put the claps in
Love
the chat.
Campfire. Sing it, dance. Yeah, that's a fun song to play. I don't know if anybody could hear it, but you could probably hear I wrote it for my daughter, holding your hand, your strawberry curls, your little laugh. And funny enough, the idea for the song came to me while I was changing her diaper. And I was just like, it's just this besides the diaper changing process, the feeling when your child looks up at you, your baby looks up at you with things like loving eyes and just like this pure joy and innocence is just, it was so inspiring. I was like, I just love this moment and I want nothing but beautiful things for you. It's just like, and I feel this way about a lot of people that I meet. It's like so many people are so beautiful in so many different ways. And it's so like, I don't meet a lot of people that I don't much care for. Certainly there are people like where I don't feel the need to interact as much, but definitely like knowing people, I mean, every person that I've met is typically like has a story to tell, reasons behind why they are the way they are. And it's just, I don't know, it's just awesome. I think most people like are amazing and I think everybody wants to be like, a kind person and a happy person. And so just thinking about that thought, like, I just want nothing but beautiful things for people so that we can start to like work on some things that we don't need in our life, like war. I think somebody mentioned like bills being paid, like fear, toxic fear, those kinds of things. Like it's not something I want anybody to experience. But we do. And so just focusing on the positives about what we do want to experience, what we do want to have happen to us in life. Beautiful things. Yeah.
I love the explanation. That's cool. That's good.
Thank you.
It's a nice place to catch an idea, right? While you're changing the yeah.
It's not all bad. So, yeah, it was easy. That was good. Yeah.
It's not all bad. You're inspiring so many ideas for me to bring on different types of artists from like a lot of different walks of life
Yeah.
while you're doing your thing. Like I actually, and when Barbara said like the singing and dancing, outside of live performances, I do want to bring on other type of performers. If you know other people that would be a great fit for campfire sessions, please let them know and please let me know, because we're always looking for different people who have not had their, I feel like their music put
Share.
out there. Let's
Yeah.
put it that way, shared. You know,
Totally.
I also do want DJs too. I want to have a campfire session where it's actually not like people talking as much, but it's just like DJs going back to back on like live,
Okay.
and it's like you could tune into our channel and you could hear their different styles. And
Yeah.
I want to do
That's
some
cool.
real interesting stuff with human, but we'll see what happens. What is the next piece you have for us tonight?
So the next one, we're going to take a look at like the shadow of the soul. This one's called Weight of Limitations, and it's actually inspired by a poem that I wrote. And it was like, it was called Wordfall, and it like had, it basically was like falling apart at the end. It was like the words were disintegrating. So I'm going to play that song for you now, and then I'm curious to hear what you hear in it. Sometimes it's so poetic that sometimes I'm just like, I don't know. I think I should just sing it and then let it speak for itself.
That's what we're here for.
Okay,
No problem.
here it goes. There's no such thing as preservation. It's blocks, not icebergs, no mummification. From one sandcastle to another, it's not how tall you make yourself, it's how close you build to the ocean. Do you hear the waves before they come crashing in? Whatever you do, leave me with the heavy truth. It calms me when I unravel, to feel the weight of limitations are never gonna happen. Every being a constellation, we're just a spoonful of simple things. You can collect and complicate all you want, but you can't prove what it means. I feel we're standing so close to the edge, just spinning round and round, wanting to fall back or fall in. Whatever you do, leave me with the heavy truth. It calms me when I unravel, to feel the weight of limitations are never gonna happen. Whatever you do, leave me with the heavy truth. It calms me when I unravel, to feel the weight of limitations are never gonna happen. Yeah.
It's good. I feel like it's like dealing with a hard truth, but sometimes the hard truth is not discovered until you're on the brink of possibly unraveling.
Yes.
Is what I hear in the lyrics,
Right.
which definitely does play towards the shadow aspect of life, because it's oftentimes in the midst of at the height of our pain, is when we discover certain truths about ourselves, about the world, and how we're going to handle that moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what I felt when I was listening to it. And then I think that you say you go from one sandcastle to another. Am I correct?
I said, so from one sandcastle, that's me, to another, it's not how tall you make yourself, it's how close you build to the ocean. So how close are we as souls living to the source? So that's why I wanted to bring it up today, because I was like, okay, this is the song. Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing. I mean, I feel like I sat here and I explained it, but can you please give us the meaning behind it,
Yeah.
your full explanation?
My I mean, the story behind this was really about, like, I'm always writing about my life, and this was in a place where I was like, I really just want somebody to tell me, like, where the limits are, what I should be focusing my time on, what is my purpose in life. I just want somebody to give me the box to live in, the sandbox to create in. I want somebody to give me that. And I sometimes there is no answer. There's no one answer. There's no real answer. It's like, life is a sandbox. Life is what you make of it. What are you putting in terms of meaning on your life? And so it's just, we're just a spoonful of simple things. You can collect and complicate all you want, but you can't prove what it means. And then the next part of the lyric goes, I feel we're standing so close to the edge, just spinning round and round, wanting to fall back or fall in. A lot of the times we want things in our lives to guide us and tell us what we need to do. But I think sometimes we don't, like, looking back on this now and knowing what I know now, we don't often listen to the voices or follow the path that we were supposed to follow. And that, like, if you're not listening to your intuition, to your soul, and you're not following, like, the guidance that you're being given, you know how far you can fall from the path. How far away are you going to build from the ocean? Like, even though a sandcastle built near the ocean might disintegrate sooner, like, the experience of living and breathing and dying, like, is very strong. Versus, like, if you live farther away from shore, that natural elements, like, might not affect you as much, and maybe you'll have, like, a longer life, but how full will it be? How many experiences will you really enjoy? Will make you feel like you're really living? So yeah.
Amazing song,
Thank
amazing poem. And now I'm looking forward to the third song.
Yes. So this one is not out yet. So the other two are out on streaming platforms, and I, like, self-produced those, so they're not as, like, great of a quality as I have now.
Mhm.
But this is the next song that I am working on right now to release next month,
Okay.
and it's called A Way Back. So I'll just play it and then we can talk about it. Dreams of a home so sweet, left a taste in my mouth. Explored the land from sea to sun to seek it out. Only in tunnels did I ever look around. Realized I'd never find my dreams buried in the ground. Down the rabbit hole, feeling the fear of the unknown. No one ever answers my calls when I'm at the bottom. Experts say it's good for the soul sometimes to go it alone. I filled my heart with others' needs and put mine on hold. I'm just trying to find a way back, trying to find a way back home. I'm just trying to find a way back, trying to find a way back home. Here I stand, always getting in my way. Gone to every door, asking for a place to stay. No one ever answers except when I really pray. The voice says, no room for you here. I'm just trying to find a way back, trying to find a way back home. I'm just trying to find a way back, try to find a way back home. For the place I imagined, I thought it existed, it didn't, oh no, it didn't. They say if you want something to come out right, you gotta build it, you gotta build it. I'm just trying to find a way back, trying to find a way back home. I'm just trying to find a way back, trying to find a way back home. I'm just trying to find a way, trying to find a way back home. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right, guys, put the claps in the chat. That's going to be the new phrase. Put the claps in the chat if y'all like that. You know, show some love. Please explain to us what the song is about. I do hear in the chorus that I definitely do hear you saying trying to find your way back, right? So I got the gist of that. But like I said, just want to hear it straight from you.
Yeah.
You know, the woman
So
herself.
it's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting when so I often try to write songs, but I don't like songwriting is the like my favorite part of being an artist, but I don't often like finish something right when I start it. And this was one of the songs where I went back into my voice memos and was picking and choosing different things to like return to and work on again. And this one wasn't completed. This one I started in September of 2020. And I was like, oh, this is a cool song. Like, I don't know why I didn't finish it, but I didn't finish it. But now's the time. I'm going to finish it now. So for me, yeah, definitely trying to find a way back to, I mean, having my daughter has been illuminating in a lot of different ways. And this other way is that as a kid, like you are who you are and you do what you do. There's not like a whole lot of like, you're not overthinking a whole lot like we do. I think when you become an adult, there's so many people to think about and so many ideas to consider, and the world is a big open place. There's a lot of different things you could be doing with your time, with your energy, and just seeing that and be like, okay, I want to try to find my way back to who I wanted to be, who I like, what are my values, what do I really want to go after, why is it that every time like I feel really alone, I don't have somebody to turn to? Is it because I should be focusing on returning to myself and like developing that relationship with myself? Is this what the universe is trying to tell me? Because like in the bridge, I say the place I imagined, I thought it existed, but it didn't. If you want something to come out right, you got to build it. So it's just talking about like, sometimes the way back is to build something new. It's not always like a regression. So that's just, yeah, where I'm at in my life right now, trying to solidify, okay, you kept running, you kept going, and now, you know, having a kid or having any kind of major life different, like a life, you know, something happened in your life, right, is a big sign, like, slow down, breathe a little deeper, like, you're getting caught up in things that you don't need to be. And so having a kid was like, okay, slow down, like, you don't have as much time as you did before, but like, how are you then using the time that you do have? What are you like, it's not a terrible thing, but like you're binge watching, you know, Netflix shows all day, like that's cool but like if you're not feeding your soul, like I mean, maybe there's something you could be doing that would feed your soul a little bit better, that would give you more life, more inspiration, more of the things that I actually want. and actively want, as opposed to just consuming like what society says that you should be consuming.
The programming.
Yeah, yeah. So
Like the
trying to find
Matrix.
a way back to being real, to being authentic,
Mm. Mm.
to being truthful. Yeah.
So, I had the chef kiss the whole campfire session. This has been amazing.
Yeah, this is
Yeah, this was amazing. I think this is like so funny story. We got hacked
oh,
last year.
oh no.
Um, and we lost a campfire session called The Will to Live. It was one of the most intense campfire sessions that I think we ever had, like, period. Like, we had like 13 to 14 people on. We even had a newborn baby on. It was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like, wow, like, amazing. Like, everybody decided to come on and share their story, but
Wow.
it was a lot of people. Amazing. And so this right here was like refreshing because I'm going to back this one up. So
Definitely.
please, I just want to say thank you. And thank you to everyone who's still here
Thank
that was part of Campfire Sessions for coming on today and making this as a reality. I cannot exist, the platform cannot exist without people like yourself. And I always want people to keep that in mind. Human is nothing without the humans that interact with the platform. Okay. Thank you, Toya, for sharing that with us. Um,
Thank you.
Please be on the lookout. The video will be posted on YouTube. YouTube, we got to do a little catching up there. Facebook too, but it will be posted tomorrow on because I want to release this campfire session in the morning so people get a chance to like
Yeah.
catch up and see it throughout the day instead of releasing it right now. And then it's like Sunday people are kind of getting ready for Monday. A lot of people live on a certain schedule, so I'm trying to like release it when I feel like
More
it's a fresh weekend.
yeah.
Huh?
I said more
You said,
programming.
yeah, more programming. That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, more programming. But Toya, do you have any closing remarks? Because it's me and you now in terms of like after this is the end.
Okay.
So do you have any closing remarks that you want to say in general about, the session, about myself, about the platform, about yourself? You can even tell people where to find you. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, if anybody wants to find me at Toya Makes Music on Instagram, I do go live every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific, and I interview local artists because what I love about what you're doing is what I love about what I get to do, and hearing stories from people who have so much to say. I love talking to people about things that they're passionate about, and artists are typically very passionate about their music, and so just getting to hear all of those experiences and experience it kind of like with them through their songs. It's just so cathartic. So really, I wanted to say thank you for having me on here and inviting me to do this, and also for doing this in general, because it is, as somebody who goes live every single week, it can sometimes be a lot. But it definitely, I think that the positives are always outweighing the negatives when it comes to sharing stories and interacting with other people and people in other cultures, in other places. It's just really awesome that we get to do this. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you for coming aboard. Oh yeah, let me know if you want to interview me. I'm always interviewing other people.
I know
Um,
it's so refreshing to have this the other way, but I love it. I mean, like, you get to ask questions no matter what. Did have somebody start asking me questions. I was like, hold on, like, I don't know that I'm prepared, but that's a conversation, so that's a real conversation. So yeah, so anyways, this has felt really, really awesome and really nice, and it's been wonderful to see and hear everybody else's responses to those same questions, and just how everybody like takes it in their own way. It's really cool.
Thank you. I appreciate that 100%. Listen, like I usually say, guys, thank you for coming aboard. Most of all, thank you for being human. If there's one thing that you take away from this, I hope that it was the fact that another person's perspective can be different from yours, but there is still something to learn from that. Um, this will be posted tomorrow morning, and there will be several reels coming out, so everybody will get their own uh, real in itself that they could share. And if you do want clips or pieces that, or segments in which you spoke, I can make that happen too. All right. So, thank you guys for making this happen. It's not just me, okay? We're all human, and I look forward to what the future holds. And yes, please reach out to me if you have any questions, if you want to interview me, if you don't want to interview me, even if you want to be interviewed. Yeah, let me know. And we do have other campfire sessions before I go or before everyone goes. We have isolation. We have lack of transparency, isolation through social media. That will be coming up next month, which is how we basically what it sounds like people are not being transparent through social media and is causing isolation to go on with them in a very weird way, and how people we do feel connected, but then we still feel that isolation when the screen gets turned off, and what we kind of do about that. And then we also have body talk, which is how we communicate through body language, and how that's 95% of communication and what that looks like and how it can also be misperceived. So, all right, guys, have a good night. Toya, you do the same. And remember, we are all human. Peace.
Yes.